Hey Sneeples, this is day 3 of the Outsiders spoilers. Let's get started. The first one we are going to talk about is Melting Point. This is spoiled to us by Matt Rogers from Channel Fireball. This is a Ranger action, a Majestic. It is a 1-cost Melting Point. Blocks for 3. It reads, your next arrow attack action gains +4. And if it has an aim counter on it, it gains, when this hits a hero, destroy a one-handed weapon they control with 1 base power. We've never seen weapons break from something else. Talishar is the only weapon that we've seen just even break at all. But the fact that this arrow can destroy a weapon is really, really big. Right now, the weapons that we know that have 1 power are daggers and Kodachis that are one-handed. So this is a arrow that threatens to break your opponent's weapon. Very huge, very, very cool, very wild. All right, moving on. This is Cartosy Carlas. Cartosy Carlas. Lace with Inertia is what they give us. This is another Ranger action, a rare. Expect seeing all 3 colors here. It is a 0-cost that blocks for 2. And the red version reads, your next arrow attack action gains +3. And when this hits, create an inertia token under your opponent's control. And of course, it has to go again. Very, very cool to just have like an arrow that pumps and give out inertia tokens. So pretty damn cool there. Moving on, we're going to get to Recoil and 1-2 Punch, both presented by 1-2 Juice. So that's obviously they had to get 1-2 Punch. But let's go over Recoil real quick. This is a rare ninja attack action. This is a 0-cost. The red comes in for 3, blocks for 3, has combo. If head jab was the last attack this combat chain, this has, when this hits a hero, you can put a card from their hand on top of their deck. Basically having some hand disruption with ninjas. So pretty damn cool. You're forcing a block, or they'll just lose the card. Let's get into 1-2 Punch. Another, this one's common, so expect to see in 3 colors as well. 1-2 Punch is a red. The red one gives us 0 for 3, that blocks for 3, and if head jab was the last attack this combat chain, it has, when this hits a hero, it deals 2 damage to them. So both these cards working with the card head jab. So it's just a 2 combo, or 2-card combo here. This one dealing extra damage, the other one taking a card out of their hand. Okay, so now from Winds of Mysteria, they give us 3 revealed cards here. The first one is Silver Wind Shuriken. This is a Majestic that is blue. It costs 0. It is a ninja action item. We get a ninja item. This is our first ninja item that we have gotten in this game. And it says attack reaction, destroy Silver Wind Shuriken. Target attack action with combo gains +1. This is an item card that acts like a breaking scales to just kind of sit around and wait to give your combo +1 in order to get over your blocking or your opponent's blocking and get the on-hit effect. So very cool there. They also give us back heel kick. This is a common. So the red version is a 0 for 3 that blocks for 3 and has combo. If Twin Twister was the last attack this combat chain, this has, if back heel kick would gain power, it gains that much power +1. So something that can just self-pump itself if it's already getting pumped. Twin Twister has the ability to give the next attack +1. So essentially, Twin Twister can give this attack +2. And now we also have Twin Twisters. This is just a strict reprint, but it's showing that there is going to be a reprint. And just, you know, a spoiler in the fact that it's getting reprinted. We can go over it real quick here. The red is a 1 for 3. This is a common, by the way. 1 for 3, blocks for 2. Choose 1 Twin Twister gains. When this hits, your next attack can get +1. Or Twin Twister gets +1 and it has to go again. Okay. Now from Blackwing Studio, we get Spire Sniping. So as you can imagine, this is a Ranger Action Arrow Attack, very cool name. Common, so the red version is a 1 for 5 that blocks for 3. And when Spire Sniping is put or turned face up in Arsenal, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, then put them back in any order. This is obviously very synergizes with Azalea's ability to ensure that your top card is an arrow card that you can use Azalea to dominate with. So this card works very well with Azalea. And then the stat line on it is fairly decent. Essentially, you're paying 2 for 5 here because it does take a resource to load up as well, which is, you know, not the best, but not the worst either. The effect is really what's really nice about this card. Okay, from Tales of Alex, I like that. Pendulum Trap. Okay, so Ranger Defense Reaction Trap. This is a rare, but it is also a yellow, and I do not believe that they print the traps in different colors. So we only should expect to see this as a yellow. When this defends and the attacking hero has played or activated a reaction this combat or this chain link, put the top 2 cards of their deck into their graveyard. So this is something to kind of respond to their attack reactions by playing the Pendulum Trap and basically milling them 2 cards. It blocks for 3, so just a trap thing to work with here, and we're gonna see what we want to use these traps with here in a little bit. But just going through how we got the spoilers as far as time goes. Next one we get from Goblin Reserve. This is Withering Shot, another Ranger attack action. This is a 1 for 5 in the red. It is a common, so you can spec in the other 2 colors. And it blocks for 3. And it says if Withering Shot has an aim counter on it, it has +1. And when this hits a hero, create a Frailty token under their control. So we've seen the Inertia one, now we're seeing a Frailty one as well. I guess we saw the Inertia Pump, but now we're seeing an arrow that just gives the token. Okay, next from KUGANE Gaming, we have the long-awaited Descendant Gust Wave. We have seen the Bonds of Ancestry and Dishonor before this. Now we finally see the missing link to the combat or the combo chain, and it's Descendant Gust Wave. This is a 1 for 3 that blocks for 2 on the red version. This is a common. However, let's read what it says, because combo, if Surging Strike was the last attack this combat chain, this costs 1 less, and it gets +2, and it has Go Again. So essentially, if you play a Surging Strike before this, this is a 0 for 5 with Go Again on the red. So even the yellow's a 0 for 4 with Go Again. It's pretty damn insane, to be honest with you. Those are obviously very high stat lines. Very good card. And it makes the entire combo line to Dishonor very cheap. Surging Strike, Surging Strike's your only card that costs anything. So very exciting to see that. Next we have from Tolarian Community College, the professor gives us Wander with Purpose. This is a Majestic Benji specialization. It is a yellow pitch costing 0. And it comes in for 2 because of course you wouldn't want it coming in for anything more if you're playing Benji, and it blocks for 3. Now let's read what it does. When this hits a hero, you may discard a card with cost 0. If you do, search your deck for a card with combo. Banish it, then shuffle. You may play it this turn, and then it has Go Again. So obviously, one specialization into another specialization, you oftentimes are probably going to go and grab Spring Tidings in order to get that huge combo turn, that OTK Benji type turn going off and winning the game. Next up from Card Market, we have Give and Take. This is a generic attack action that is a Majestic. It costs 1, it comes in for 3, and it blocks for 3. So far understated. Let's see what the ability says. Whenever Give and Take is defended by an action card, you may put an action card with cost less than Give and Take's power from your graveyard on top of your deck. So a little bit of recursion added on. It does need to be defended by a action card, so basically it needs to be defended, but it allows you to put a card on top if it is. and it has Go Again. So a interesting card. You know, one that you probably would like to play against fatigue decks that want to block all the time, and this kind of makes it where it's awkward to block. But I don't think it's really quite there, to be 100% honest with you. Okay, so moving on to the M&R podcast, they give us Widowmaker, the new Bay of the Ranger world. This is basically the assassin chick from last set, honestly. So this is a Ranger attack action, an arrow that is common. The red version gives us a 1/4 that blocks for 3. And it says defense reactions can't be played to Widowmaker's Chain Link. And if Widowmaker is defended by fewer than 2 cards, it has +3. So a very cool ability. No particular good on hit. There's just no on hit at all, but just big damage basically. Essentially coming in for 1 for 7 unless you block with 2 cards. Almost kind of like a barraging beatdown sort of effect. So pretty damn cool in that sense. But it does just say 2 cards. So equipment cards are cards, so they would count as well. Okay, moving on from Bagel TCG, we get the Murkmire Grapnel. This is a Ranger attack action, an arrow. It's a common. The red is a 0/4 that blocks for 3. And it says if Murkmire Grapnel has an aim counter, it gets +1. And damage that would be dealt by Murkmire Grapnel can't be prevented. So just, you know, getting rid of those Oasis, you know, Peaceful Mind or the new Oasis thing that we got, and Crown of Seas, anything that's just preventing, this is going to kind of get around that. 0/4, not the worst. Okay, from Dice Commando, we get another legendary equipment. This is Vambrance of Determination. This is a generic equipment that is for the arms. It has a block of 0, so let's get into what this equipment does. It has once per turn attack reaction. You can pay 1 resource. The next prevention effect that prevents damage this turn prevents 1 less damage. Basically, you can pay 1 resource to negate a crown effect, or to slightly, you know, put down a Oasis Respite sort of effect. It also has, when this defends, you may pay 1. If you do, it gains +1 defense and Blade Break. So it does, you know, get destroyed after defending if you choose to pay that 1 to give it a buff. Honestly, I don't quite see this being played like in all decks. It's a generic, but I don't think it's quite there. It's not on that same power level as your Tunic or your Crown of Progress or even Arcanite Skullcap. So I'm very curious to see if there's any heroes that really pick up this legendary equipment. We shall see moving forward. Okay, next up from Olivia of the Veil, we get Concealed Blade. This is a Majestic that is blue. It costs 0 and it defends for 3. And it's an Assassin Ninja attack reaction. It says target Assassin or Ninja attack action card gains +1. And when this hits a hero, equip a dagger in your inventory. Now, this is finally the card that we get that allows you to bring daggers from your sideboard into the game. We've seen a lot of mechanics that work with throwing your daggers essentially and using them up and destroying them. This allows you to essentially reload your daggers with new daggers. So a very cool concept. It seems right now we only have 3 cards that allow us to do this. So we'll see how much that entices a dagger throwing deck. Okay, moving on from Pleasant Kenobi, we get Mask of Shifting Perspectives. This is an equipment that is Assassin or Ninja type equipment for the head. This blocks for 1 and it's a common. It reads attack reaction. You can destroy Mask of Shifting Perspectives. Whenever a dagger hits this turn, you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. Actually a pretty good effect. As we know, sinking ability really does, you know, make bad hands into good hands. And so being able to, you know, use a dagger and then, you know, be able to sink your hand is pretty huge here. It also blocks for 1 and it has blade break. So if you just need that block, you can also block with it, but it will be destroyed. Okay. Next up, from Outcast Haven, we get 3 cards, each with their own little flavor. They are all rares, but they all come in their own little color. The first one is Fetch a Red Tail. It costs 1. Your next arrow attack gains +4. This is a ranger reaction, I should mention. That defends for 2. And it also has, if it has an aim counter, red cards have -1 defense while defending this. Go again. So it's a pump for your arrows, and if they have a aim counter on them, it, you know, decreases the value of red cards blocking it. Now, the next 2 cards are Fetch a Yellow Tail and Fetch a Blue Tail. As you can imagine, they all cost 1, they all defend for 2, and each one is given that pump. The blue is +2, the yellow is +3, and they each say if the respective color is blocking, it gets -1. Pretty cool flavor, really like how that's designed, and overall, just I think it's really cool. I like when Flesh and Blood has these like synergistic looking cards to the game itself. Next up, from the card guys, we get Burdens of the Past. This is a generic action that is a majestic. It is blue, it costs 0, it defends for 3, and it reads, until the end of turn, target hero can't play defense reaction cards with the same name as cards in their graveyard. If there are 10 or more defense reaction cards in their graveyard, draw a card, and it has go again. So, it being a blue will probably mean that if you choose to have this in your deck, you will most likely be playing it on your second cycle when you would expect to already have seen some defense reactions so that you prevent those last few defense reactions coming in. And if your opponent has already 10, it's probably been a pretty long game. At least you get to draw a card to replace itself and ensure no defense reactions happen. Interesting card. Curious to see how it gets played, if at all or super a lot. Next one from DAYLON Mac, we get Spike Pit Trap. This is a ranger defense reaction that's a trap. Is another legendary Riptide specialization, so you can only have 1 in your deck. It is a blue pitch, it costs 0 and defends for 3, and it reads, when this defends and the attacking hero has played or activated a reaction card, this chain link, put the top card of their deck into their graveyard, then they lose X amount of life, where X is the number of cards in their graveyard with that name. So a trap that hurts them a little bit in life and defends as well. So kind of does the best of both worlds here, and we're going to see how that really applies to the hero moving forward. But before then, we're going to talk a little bit more spoilers. We have the February spoilers. My crack team was really trying hard to be the first ones, but we were beaten. I think we got 7th. Anyhow, February has a whole equipment set of new equipment that are all common. There is the Seeker's Hood, the Seeker's Gillet, Seeker's Mitts, and Seeker's Leggings. They all have instant, pay 1 resource, destroy that piece of equipment, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn, and then opt 1. Overall, just decent armor to have, especially in a limited deal, almost only in a limited deal. But, you know, maybe commoner as well. Just having something to kind of prevent a little bit of damage, and the opt on top of that is just a little cherry on top, so not too shabby. Next up, from the Spike Fears, we have Infecting Shot. This is another ranger arrow that is a common. The red comes in for 5 damage, costs 1, and blocks for 3. And it says if it has an aim counter, it gets +1, and on hit, you create a Blood Rot Pox token. That is if it has an aim counter or not. That part does not matter for the aim counter. So we've seen that there is a Frailty one, and now there's the Blood Rot Pox one. Okay, moving on to Tannon's Grace spoiler, which is Boulder Trap. Another Ranger Defense Reaction Trap. This one is yellow, and it costs 0, defends for 3, and when this defends an attack with power greater than its base, put a -1 shield counter on a equipment the attacking hero controls. So really is a punishment for having a bigger attack or pumping your attack up, and really punishes the player for doing that by giving them a -1 counter. So kind of does a, you know, it blocks for 3, but almost kind of blocks for 4 if you count that -1 counter as a point. Next up, from card advantage, we have Lace with Blood Rot. We've seen the arrow that delivers a Blood Rot Pox token. This is the ranger action that gives your next arrow the ability to create a Blood Rot Pox. This is a rare. The red costs 0 and gives your next attack, arrow attack +3, with the ability to give the Blood Rot Pox. And it also defends for 2 and has Kogan. Okay, next up from Fabrica, we get Tar Pit Trap. As you can imagine, another ranger defense reaction that's a trap. This is another yellow, costs 0, defends for 3. When this defends an attack with Go Again the next time an attack action card hits this turn, effects don't trigger. That's really damn good, especially when you're looking at Ninja with like a Mask of Momentum or Mask of Pouncing Links, or if you're looking at a lot of on-hit effects that such as like Briar or again Ninja. So very good card to go against these types of heroes, and it blocking for 3 is okay. It will block a lot of the Fi attacks at least. All right, so moving on, spellvoid.com gives us Crow's Nest, a very cool looking card in my eyes, a very cool name. This is a ranger equipment that is a quiver. This is a new type of equipment that has been introduced in this set, the quiver for the ranger class. Basically, it's just another piece of equipment that takes up no spots. It's a Azalea specialization, so only Azalea can have this one. Whenever an arrow is put face up into your arsenal from your deck, you may pay 1. If you do, put an aim counter on it. This really is great for Azalea to be able to have versatility in the bows that she uses. She is not bound to use the Sand Sour Great Bow anymore in order to obtain those aim counters or the Barbed Castaway. Now she can go back to using her Death Dealer or Red Liner or some of the other bows out there without having to worry about not being able to get the aim counters. This allows her to do so for 1 resource. So very cool to give her some versatility in the bows that she uses, because some bows are better in matchups where others are not. Okay. Moving on, we have from TCG Talk, Mask of Malicious Manifestations. A very fun one to say. This is a assassin or ranger equipment for the head here. It is a common that blocks for 1 and has Blade Break. And finally, it reads action, pay 1 resource, put a card from your hand or arsenal on the bottom of your deck. Destroy this mask. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an attack action card. Put it into your hand, then shuffle, go again. All right, so seeing that this is Assassin and Ranger Mask, this is pretty big for both those classes. If you have an arrowless hand, this can help find that arrow for you if you are a Ranger. And if you are something like Uzuri or even Arachne that wants stealth cards and you don't have a stealth attack in your hand, this can help you filter your hand in order to obtain that card, hopefully from the top. Okay. So moving on here, we have from DMARMADA, which is the big one of the day. This is Riptide, Lurker of the Deep. This is the final hero of the new heroes where we get to learn his ability. Let's get right to it. Again here, he has 4 intelligence, 38 health. And his ability, when you play a card from hand, you may put a card from hand face down into your arsenal. Whenever a trap you control triggers, deal 1 damage to the attacking hero. Okay, this is pretty damn big, because what Riptide allows you to do when you're playing him is to have that reload ability built into his character. This goes for both offensive and defensive. If you come in with a pump air, like something to pump up your arrow, you can then immediately put it into the arsenal, that arrow, and then just play it. Almost single-handedly, like avoiding the the bow tax of paying 1. That puts all arrows above rate at that point, which is awesome. The other thing is that if you place defensively, you can use trap cards from your arsenal to put in a defense reaction card to play yet again against a card that has Dominate coming at you. Ultimately, Riptide's ability is really damn good, and there's a reason why he's at 38 health instead of the 40, and it's because being able to have that reload mechanic built in is pretty big to allow you to have multiple avenues of play styles and card effects. Okay, what we also got with the Riptide is his specialization quiver, which is Driftwood Quiver. It has instant destroy Driftwood Quiver, put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. Basically like a last ditch effort to kind of avoid those command and conquers or other cards that can destroy the arsenal, just to kind of save it. Again, not taking up an armor slot here, so it's a kind of a, you know, probably can afford to take up a slot in the 80 to put that in for the just in cases. Okay, next up from UBERSHOUTS, we get our other legendary here. This is Trench of Sunken Treasure. This is a very cool name, a very cool art, but I'm not sure about the card itself. Let's get into it. It's a ranger equipment for the chest. It defends for 1, and it has once per turn instant. Put a face down card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck, and then gain 1 resource. It does have Arcane Barrier 1, and it also has Blade Break. So, very interesting sort of card. Obviously, it's very nice when your legendary equipments come with Arcane Barrier, so that you can use the effect and have Arcane Barrier. That's always wanted. However, I'm not quite sure how much this comes in handy. The only hero currently I can really think of that would use this effect is Riptide, just because Riptide, you probably have so many traps that you probably can't take out all your traps against like a wizard that's hardly ever going to attack you. So this at least allows those traps to become resources in order to pay for Arcane Barrier. That's what I see of it now. There might be some other tools out there that I just haven't thought of that helps really make this chest equipment flow. Okay, from 3 floating, we get 2 cards. First one is Cyclone Roundhouse. This is a Majestic. This is a yellow pitch Majestic that costs 2. It comes in for 5, blocks for 3, it has combo. If Spinning Wheel Kick was the last attack this combat chain, this has, at the beginning of the reaction step, banish a random defending card from each chain link. Very, very cool. Very interesting, I think, really. Banishing from previous chain links will not change any damage that previously happened, but it does prevent the card from going to the graveyard. That can have some very good things come about it, you know. Perhaps they wanted those cards in his graveyard, or even if it's like a Blood Debt card, maybe you're just like putting Blood Debts instead of into the graveyard for Olivia to use, you're putting it right to the Banish Zone. I don't know, this isn't particularly Olivia hate, but that's the one that came up in mind. But it does, for its own chain link, allow for more damage to get through because it does banish that card, which probably means it won't be blocked. The next one that was given to us is that Spinning Wheel Kick we talked about. This is a rare, so the red one is a 1 for 4 that blocks for 2. It has combo if Twin Twisters or Spinning Wheel Kick was the last attack this combat chain. This has +1, and when this hits, put it on the bottom of its owner deck, has go again. So a Twin Twister could go into this, but another Spinning Wheel Kick can go into this. So it's like spins twice. This is what I'm talking about. I like when Flesh and Blood does this. So it just gets more powerful with each of those little combat chains, and then it puts itself back into the deck. Very, very cool. And then you can play Cyclone Roundhouse at the end of it. Okay, from Go Again Gaming, we get Quiver of Abyssal Depths. This is our last legendary of the set, so let's get into it. It is a ranger equipment, a quiver. Instant, pay 3, destroy Quiver of Abyssal Depth. Shuffle up to 3 arrows from different names from your graveyard to your deck. This is very good when you're looking at going against heroes that can fatigue you by just defending out your arrows. This allows you to have that last resurgence to be able to combat this. Oftentimes you'll see Rangers run Remembrance. Well, now you can just run Quiver and be able to, you know, have a means to get over the fatigue. I could see Lexi running this. I could see all the Rangers running this if need be. Okay, next up from On the Bobble is Amplifying Arrow. One of the interesting arrows because the art just doesn't match the pits. So it's kind of interesting to see. It looks like from Arya, really. This is a majestic yellow pitch, 0 cost Ranger attack action arrow. It comes in for 2 and defends for 3. And it reads, when Amplifying Arrow is face up in any zone, so any zone at all, if it would gain power, instead it gains that much +1. So particularly thinking of Voltaire, that would give it +2. And then any attack reactions would also give it additional buffing. So very cool to just see. It's a 0 cost arrow, so that's not bad here. So essentially with like a Voltaire, it's a 0 for 4, and that's not bad. Okay. Now from CONTADOR TUNIC, we get Lace with Frailty. Again here, this is one of the Lace cards. These are rares. These are 0 cost. The red gives +3. It defends for 2, has Go Again. And this one says when your next arrow hits, you create a Frailty token under your opponent control. A Frailty token I could see be very useful against the combo, you know, Katsu type decks, as well like the Phi decks, just any deck that looks to go wide. Okay, from ERIK DOA LONNQUIST, we got Visit the Floating Dojo, a card that I'm very particularly excited about. This is a majestic, this is a ninja instant. It is a blue pitch that costs 0, so good for your Kodachis, good for Katsu's ability. And speaking of Katsu, it's a Katsu specialization card. So let's get into it. Put a Surging Strike and a card with combo from your graveyard on top of and or bottom of your deck. So whether it's just putting, you know, those combo pieces back in, if you want to put it on bottom, or setting up for that big combo turn next turn, this card really can help make that happen. I think this is going to be included in every Katsu deck, just for the fact that it's a 0 pitch blue to help Kodachis, to help with Katsu's ability, and as well as help to get that combo going. This might be more of a late game card, but this can easily be an early game card too, because Surging Strike and a card with combo, so it can be Descendant Gust Wave, it could be any other card with combo, but having a Dishonor come and hit as soon as possible can really just determine the game quicker than, you know, later. So very high on this card. Very much am wanting to play Rangers or Ninjas because of this card. So very excited. Okay, next up the Fab Cube. Wayfinder's Crest. This is a common equipment. This is a Ranger equipment for the head. It blocks for 1. Has Blade Break and reads, when you defend with Wayfinder's Crest, look at the top card of your deck, of target hero's deck, excuse me. So basically allows you to determine, you know, can I blind Azalea here? Because it won't be blind, right? You'll know what the top card of your deck is. Kind of not an opt. You can't choose to put it on the bottom, but you just get a little bit of knowledge. So it's not the worst. And it's a common and it's blocked for 1. So, you know, that's fine on its own right there. All right, from Tall Timmy, we get Buzzsaw Trap. Another legendary Riptide specialization, meaning we can only run 1. This is another blue pitch that costs 0, defends for 3, Ranger defense reaction trap. And it reads, when this defends an attack with power greater than its base, the attack can't gain power this turn. And then in parentheses, which I think is the most important part here, its power becomes its base. So it basically negates any power given to it. And it also prevents any pumps responded to this trap. So basically, you know, just takes the card at base value and says, that's it, that's what you're attacking for. Okay, from fabrec.gg, we get Scout the Periphery. This is a generic action This is a common. The red, costs 0, defends for 2, and says, look at the top of target hero's deck. The next attack action card you play from Arsenal this turn gets +3 and has go against. The red will probably get +3, yellow +2, blue +1. Just a generic pump, really, but you do get to look at the top card of target hero's deck. So, whether you're a ranger and want to look at your own, or maybe you're, someone that's dealing with contracts like Arachne and want to, decide what card to put out to get that contract and kind of decide right then and there. So, pretty good for those heroes. From Majin Bay, we get Falcon Wing. This is another ranger attack action that costs 0. It's a common, so the red comes in for 3, blocks for 3, and if it has an aim counter, it gets +1 as go again. So we get a go again arrow in this set. The red will be for 4 go again with an aim counter, yellow 3, blue 2, and if it doesn't have an aim counter, just -1 on all of that stuff. All right, that is it. We are going to get some box openings tonight, so we'll get the rest of the commons and rares given to us, and then I will be coming out with a draft list. This video was long as all of them are, but you know what? That's all the fab spoilers, so stick with us. We got huge videos coming up talking about all the cards, but until then, keep on fabbing. Thanks for watching.